This podcast contains explicit language and content meant for mature audiences. The thoughts and opinions expressed are our own and should not necessarily be taken seriously, most of the time.
We are not responsible for any fainting spells, erections, or other medical conditions that may arise from the sheer level of hotness that you are exposed to. Subscribe at your own risk.
Welcome to the Sexy Jammies Swingcast.
I'm Roxy.
And I'm James.
And we're Sexy Jammies. Come with us on our continually evolving wizarding journey as we talk about everything from sex and swinging to toys, relationships,
And whatever else is tickling your nipples at the time.
Thank you for joining us. And if you like what you hear, be sure to support us on Patreon.
If there's anything that you want to hear us chat about,
Or just want to say hi.
don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can find links to all of our things at linktree/sexyjammies.
That's linktr.ee/sexy jammies. We'd love to get to know you better. Now hurry up and take your clothes off before the kids wake up.
You suck at this.
No, life sucks at interrupting me. I do just fine when I have
Did
time
you
to
burp
focus on it.
directly in the microphone?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I did. That's a koala. That is so cute. Why is there a koala on my screen? I'm sorry.
Nice.
Fucking adorable. He's looking right at me.
So happy Friday that turned into Saturday,
That turned into a Sunday.
Sunday.
And then a Monday.
and then it turned into Monday, and
And-
now it's, I think, Tuesday.
It is because it says so on my screen. I actually
Yeah.
wasn't sure for a minute there. I'm tired.
I'm tired too.
This thing is going to kill me.
No, it's not. We learn so much from these things every time we do one.
Yeah, not to commit to things without assessing the amount of time that it will take appropriately.
Oh, there's other things too. So no work shit. We're done with work shit. This is fun shit.
This is still work.
No, it's not.
It is.
We decided we weren't going to work at it anymore. We were just going to do it.
I get what you're saying. Oh, God. Okay.
Hi, kid.
Hi.
So on the drive in the other day, we talked about how we were going to kind of discuss the club thing, right?
Yes.
I don't have what I would describe as a good handle on what we were saying the other day.
Hold on.
So maybe I'll just start rambling and it'll come to me.
Well, I mean, you could do that, or you could pause for just...
Well, I can do the basics. So this lifestyle stuff, most of the time that we spend, you and I, doing it is at clubs or events.
Yes, it's just easier that way.
For the most part, right?
It's just easier that way.
So we were talking...
I mean, meeting the new people and all that.
Right.
I mean, we'll meet our regular friends, but...
But one of the points that we're going to make in this is we met all of those people at events,
Yes,
right?
we did.
Like, for the most part, and we've talked about how online dating sucks.
Yeah.
And the reason why it sucks is we've never had a successful online encounter,
We have not. To date, still.
right?
Still.
It's always been people that we've met at events or at clubs.
There's a recent one that lives near us that we met in an online situation. It wasn't the typical one, but that still hasn't worked out necessarily.
Well, I guess there is that one exception, and we'll talk about her later. But we met her through somebody that we met at an event.
That wasn't online. I'm talking about online. That's why I was confused.
I know. But
Okay.
with the one exception of her, everyone that we've met has been through an event or at a club.
Yeah, well, no. There's multiple people we didn't meet through. It was an event still. It just wasn't a club event. Like a put on event.
But we wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for an encounter at the club.
I understand. This is what I'm saying is we've met multiple people additionally because of the people we met.
Yes,
So she still counts.
she does.
in that
In a
regard.
like a secondhand removed kind of thing.
Well, she is a second hand.
And so is the one that you're talking about. So
but yeah, we haven't had a successful online anything. So
Right.
all of our successful meetings have been initiated in some way through the club or takeover scene.
Yes. And we were discussing how we had been going to a club regularly.
Yes.
And we're going to save. Are we?
I don't give a shit.
No, it doesn't matter, I guess.
No,
So we are members of Club Princeton.
not for much longer.
And we're probably going to let that membership lapse.
We not probably. We are going to let that membership lapse.
And we're going to talk to you. Well, we're going to talk to each other tonight about our new club and the one that we probably are going to go ahead and call our home club.
Not probably. It is.
What it is. And that is Play Champagne.
Yeah. It is the place I feel at home.
Right. And we've had that conversation before that you and I both feel at home in environments like that, but not all the time at Princeton.
No.
And
the last time really did it in for me there.
yeah, it was
when I felt weird getting naked.
Yeah.
That's not a thing I want to experience in this lifestyle.
Right.
I don't want to feel weird that I'm taking my clothes off. I want it to just be the thing that happens. And at all of the champagne events, that it just is. Actually, to the point of our friends going, "What, you're still dressed?"
Why are you wearing clothes?
Like, when I show up at like noon in the hotel, they're like, "What, you're wearing clothes?" I'm like, I thought we had to at this point in time. But, I want the shock of you're wearing clothing versus not being comfortable not wearing clothing. And that's very much how I felt the last time at Princeton. And I think that has fairly completely turned me off from going there.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the other reasons later.
Yeah,
It's
we
not
will.
just that.
We'll
That's
get to
just
Well,
how
I mean,
this started.
they're a little cliquish.
We're
What?
going to review them too.
Oh yeah, we can go into
Because
it.
there are some things that we need
We'll
to
go
talk
into
about.
more detail in our proper review, but I mean it's not as friendly of a swinger environment. And I mean that's fine. They can have their little shtick and we can choose not to participate. So this started about 2 years ago.
Yes. Right around COVID.
And everybody's coming down off
first
COVID.
time.
The lockdowns are going away, and we were looking for events.
Well, before the lockdowns happened, we were looking for events, and we found some.
We actually
We were-
had tickets.
Gonna go to a club in Indiana called Play Champagne.
Well, no, first we were looking at a foam party.
Well, yeah, I don't remember the group that put that on.
Like in Detroit.
But it's like a huge thing.
Yeah,
And
it was like out of Detroit. We do. We figured it out in the car.
I don't remember.
They are spiritual swingers.
I don't know that that's
I think it's the
case,
same
but-
group.
okay. Well, that's the thing.
I could be
You
wrong.
think it's the same group. I have no idea.
But if nothing else,
There's no substantiating of this.
there's no
evidence.
substantiation whatsoever. And if you guys are listening to this and we're wrong, call me out. But
Because we would like to figure out who it was and find it again if they're doing it, because that looked fun.
right, I
lot of
think
fun?
the group was based in Toledo or Detroit, maybe Chicago.
That's a lot. That's a really
I know.
wide berth.
I know, right?
Okay.
And
Just so we're clear.
so they were having a shindig, like 3.5 hour drive or 4
It was
hour
like a
drive
summer
from us.
thing, and we were going to do a weekend.
And I think we bought tickets.
I don't think we did because you went to buy tickets.
No, I did.
Oh.
I did, and then they canceled because of lockdowns.
Oh. And
So
you were
this would have been
Okay.
This would have been right at the beginning of lockdown, so like March 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so with that, when the cancellation took place, we started looking for other places to go.
Yeah. And other clubs and like
Yeah,
these
because we
few
wanted to branch
lifestyle
out.
related.
And we found a number. It turns out there's a far cry more within
just a
reasonable
few hours of us.
reasonable driving distance, right?
Well, I mean, you gotta define reasonable depending on the day.
Yeah, and how bad my back is fucked up. So we're kind of a hotbed of the lifestyle here. I want to say there's about 10 or 12 clubs
Within
call
2
it
hours.
Call it 3.
Yeah.
So with that many opportunities, there's going to be some good, bad, and the ugly. And so we had found this place in Fort Wayne, of all places, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. They're apparently a hot spot.
I think that needs to be the new name of that particular town.
Seriously.
Or Fort Wayne, who would have thought Indiana?
Like, they actually have quite a bit going on.
Yeah, I mean...
And there's a lot of swingers that we've, like, happened upon that live in that area.
Right?
Actually...
Well, there's a reason for that.
Perspectively speaking, about 50% of our friends live in Indiana.
Yeah.
The other 50% are about 45 minutes or more away from us. We don't have any friends that live within 45 minutes.
Yeah.
None.
We'll get into the reason why here in a second that worked out. So we're exploring into Play Champagne, and the club looks beautiful.
Oh, God, it looked amazing.
The interior decorating, the club aspect of it was just phenomenal.
It is beautiful.
So we start debating on when we can find tickets, and we start stumbling on it doesn't look like there are any.
Yeah.
And we can't really figure out why. And then I stumbled on a news article, and so there's this hotshot freaking Bible thumping maybe lawyer that makes it his business.
He just has a really small penis and no one wants to have sex with him.
Well, maybe. Him and his
Not
Bible.
because of the small penis.
Him and his Bible.
But because of his attitude.
Yes. So he just doesn't want to let people be people. And he makes it his business to find towns who are susceptible to his brainwashing and give them the training and education and the ability to ban, oust, or otherwise banish adult-oriented.
Adult-oriented.
Yeah,
businesses.
and that's strip clubs and bikini bars,
It's all of them.
swinger groups, the whole thing. Even so far as to banning hotels from hosting said events.
Yeah.
Which apparently is, and he'll have to correct me on this if I'm wrong, is apparently why they didn't have takeovers in Fort Wayne. Because it's just not a thing allowed.
Huh.
So this happened literally as we're trying to find a place, and they close.
Yes.
And I don't remember if we had
emergency ordinance.
Right. They put it into effect. It took effect as soon as passage took place, and the landlord refused to renew their lease.
Yep.
So we found out some of the finer details of this because we did end up going to one of their events.
Well, we happened upon their hotel takeovers.
Yeah. Through the same website that told us that they were closed. It was like, hey, yeah, we're closed, but we're going to do this thing. And that was the whiteout party almost 2 years ago.
It was where was that where I overindulged?
Yes.
Yeah, in the marijuana. I
Yes,
oversmoked
perhaps.
a pot vape.
Overserved.
I did. Well, I didn't know any better then.
No.
And I thought it was fine because I had done one before, except I didn't realize they are not all created equal.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. And this girl was a pro. So.
She is a pro. Turns out we got invited to New Year's that year.
Because of that.
Which turned out to be a fantastic time.
Yeah, which you can hear about. We
all of the ways.
This is where we met Mr. and Mrs. Sexwing, was at this.
That
was our first
whiteout party.
Official lifestyle friends.
And a lot of other things too.
It was not necessarily an amazing time just because of, my issue. But it wasn't that it wasn't fun because the party wasn't fun. It was amazingly fun.
Yes.
It was so much fun. We met so many people.
We were amateurs back then.
Yeah. So
to the nth degree.
it's actually where we met Mr. and Mrs. Poolfriend. We weren't friends yet, but we met them.
That's how they got their name.
It is.
So
and they remembered I was the one in the unicorn floaty.
Right.
So then we went to Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And that sealed the deal.
At Valentine's Day, we were lucky enough to be seated for dinner
with the owner
and some of the employees of the club or of the organization, I guess is better.
What happened, but
don't know.
Started talking and
we seated kind of lastish, and I think he just went and grabbed a spare seat.
Oh, I'm very glad he did.
And we ended up having a really decent and long conversation with him.
We did.
And got all of the rest of the information about what was going on and what had happened.
Yep.
And what their upcoming plans were.
Which included opening a club somewhere.
Yes.
At that time.
That was, yeah. And this
That's 2
was
years ago. They were planning on
a year and a half ago, because that would be 2
February.
years this coming Thanksgiving.
Yes.
This coming Valentine's.
Year and a half.
And so they had already had the plans. And they were using takeovers to fund this thing.
Well, not just fun, but gain clientele.
Yes.
That were further away from them than when they were in Indiana.
Yeah. So they obviously focused a little bit heavier in Ohio and this Midwestern region, at least on the onset. And they did some Minneapolis stuff, Cincinnati stuff, Dayton stuff. So we started thinking that that's kind of where it's going to be. Someplace centrally located to those three big cities.
We were.
And we went to St. Marty Patty's Gras, bitches.
We went to almost all the hotel takeovers, actually. I think we skipped 2.
This was like 2 months later.
Any takeovers you hear about, it was Champagne.
It was Champagne.
All of the takeovers have been Champagne. At
St. Marty Patty's Gras takeover, we had a little bit more conversation with him.
Yes.
And found out, I think then, the rumor was that it was going to be north of Cincinnati just a titch, which is stomping ground for another club.
He wasn't allowed to talk about it.
He wasn't going to talk about it, but we had other sources of information that were leading us in that path too.
They were very wrong, though. I mean, they were sort of wrong.
They were within 60 miles or so.
This is true.
And so you've heard us talk about how folks that are in the lifestyle sometimes dime other lifestylers out. And so it turns out somebody within the private Facebook group of this organization.
I don't even belong to. I haven't even
all we'd have to do is ask him.
I understand. But this is my point, though, is I haven't gone out of my way to join it. So what kind of asshole do you have to be?
Yeah. So the information for the club location was apparently leaked on that private Facebook group. And
no. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it was leaked.
That's what he told me directly.
Oh, that it was on the Facebook group?
2 months after when we were talking to him about where it might be. And it turns out we were right. The other people were wrong.
We were right.
And it turned out that we found out about it because it got dimed out. And so somebody let the city know.
Yeah.
And then the city did the same thing that Fort Wayne did.
Asshole.
And went in and passed some sort of emergency ordinance
and
blocking.
They had to move it again.
And so they moved it again. And so
I'm sorry, none of your fucking business. We are not hurting anybody. Not hurting anybody. We're not out there with signs recruiting people like the army.
Well.
No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. There's no recruitment. It's a long game to figure out people's proclivities. It's not recruitment. Recruitment means they were already dipping toes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't go, hey, here's a card. Do you want to be a swinger? We don't do that shit. Like, we're not the army. We don't do that. It's frustrating to me that they give a flying fuck about what we do in our spare time.
Well, people have to have something to talk about.
This is why I enjoy that Taylor Swift song. I actually really do, because it totally resonates.
I don't know if you're allowed to enjoy
Like,
Taylor Swift songs.
This one I am. She didn't write it. We both know that. But it makes perfect sense. Like, why are you so angry about something that doesn't affect you?
Right.
That's literally what the song is. Like, why? What is wrong in your life that you're so angry about this? Like, she goes, are you okay? At one point, the line is, are you okay? Because there must be something wrong with you to be this angry about something that has nothing to do with you. It's not contagious.
It kind of is.
It's not.
It kind of is.
No, it's
but not in a bad way.
It's not contagious in any way. If you're opposed to it, you're just opposed to it. Don't fucking do it in your life.
So we find out, I think this probably was September a year ago or so.
Who the fuck
that
knows?
We find out that at New Year's, they're going to make a major announcement about
Except they didn't really. It was
they didn't
like,
really.
We already knew the announcement. We were like,
We had already heard through our channels.
No, we suspected when we figured out what was going on.
Yeah.
And the delays that kept happening, we knew at that point what had happened. It just wasn't confirmed.
Well, no, he had already told me. He had already told me that other town wasn't going to happen. But in September, October, prior to Halloween, they made the announcement that they were going to disclose where the new club was going to be at New Year's.
Yeah, which they only sort of did.
We were already committed to going. And so, I mean, that's another takeover and 3 more months. Fast forwarding to last part of December and January, we're at that takeover. And we had spent some time with Eric, the owner, and getting to know him a little bit, chatting him up, probing him for information. And he's really closed mouth about everything. And I'm dropping all the hints.
He wasn't allowed to talk about it.
He wasn't allowed to talk about it.
He said that he would be murdered if he talked about it. He was not allowed to talk about it.
His wife apparently has him properly leashed, and he refused to confirm nor deny any of my rumors that I was asking him about. And so at New Year's, they had a little video presentation, and there was the Columbus, Ohio skyline.
Yep.
So,
which we knew.
Yeah, I mean,
we already knew.
We're kind of excited, and I think the drive time difference is like 3 or 4 minutes.
No, it's like 15, but still, that's not.
But still,
a whole lot. We've driven an hour and a half on just a regular day to go see some of our friends. So
we drove 4 hours to a house party 2 months ago.
That wasn't in a one day. That was an overnight. That wasn't in one day. Like, these are not overnights. We don't get like overnight care for our little monster things. We have to go and come home that same night.
Yeah.
Even if it's late. So, which it was. Because God damn them. We can never have an early night when we do that.
No, we can't.
But still, it's, that's about as far as I think I'm willing to go on a single trip. So I was kind of glad that it was just a little closer because it made the travel just a little bit easier.
Yeah, it was not bad. So we...
Now it's right at what, like 40 minutes or so?
Something like that. We get excited because, I mean, that's right in our neck of the woods, sort of.
Yeah.
And again, it's not much of a different drive to Princeton than it is to play Champaign.
No.
Where are we thinking that it was going to be? And somebody leaked or told us what their preferred hotel was. And it's the same chain that we've been going to. And I think Eric said that, hey, your hotel is within, it was either 2 or 5 miles of the club.
I want to say they have a shuttle.
Yeah.
So it can't be far.
Oh, it was Batman and Joker. Batman and Joker had some information, and we're pressing him. He's pressing us, and we get our mind meld going. And we actually have this on recording, but the recording is shit. So you might hear it, but I'm gonna have to filter the shit out of it. And so we're talking about this.
Oh, there was loud music going
There was a
on.
lot of loud music because Eric was DJ. And we kind of figure out the general location of where this might be. And we're thinking,
I'm so glad it wasn't where everyone was thinking.
Oh my God.
I was going to be a little disappointed.
so if
I don't need that.
if any
noise.
of you are familiar with Columbus, Ohio, there is a section of town that is largely dedicated to Ohio State University.
Yeah.
And right below that is this,
Still dedicated to Ohio State University.
there is a section of town called the Short North.
Yeah.
And it is where all the good food is at, all the good bars,
All the good art galleries.
all the good everything that everybody talks about when they talk about this town.
And
That's where you go to experience this
and
stuff.
I was excited briefly. Very briefly.
Yeah.
But then I was like, fucking college kids.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense from a lot of perspectives, right?
I didn't think about the whole needing to have a membership and getting approved
Yeah.
and all of that.
You were just thinking
And
about
they are very
people just walking in the door.
Yeah, they're very selective. So now that I'm aware of that, I'm like, that might have been okay. But I could just see the ones trying to get in,
Yeah.
like,
Well, and
or waiting
That-
outside.
that section of town already has dabblings in this direction.
A little bit, yeah.
And within the circle, that 5-mile circle, it overlaps 2 gay lifestyle bars,
2?
2 or 3.
I mean, maybe. I haven't really
And
been down there in so long.
one of those has a drag show on a regular basis. And I think the other one's just kind of a social deal. But the one is absolutely puts on shows and stage performances and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I think they might have burlesque right down the street. So there's dabblings, right? It's heading in that general direction. So we were thinking that it was going to be there. Turns out it's not. Much closer to the international airport that Columbus has. And I want to say we knew where probably by late January. But the club opening, the grand opening, and the soft opening was scheduled for, what was that, March?
Originally, yes. Yeah. The soft was, they were both March, but the soft was like
A week later.
it was 2 or 3 weeks, I thought, of a difference.
Okay.
Or it might, you know what? It might have been 1 week. It might have been a week difference.
So the hard opening was invite only.
No, the soft opening was invite only.
The soft opening, pardon, was invite only, industry pros, influential folks in the lifestyle,
Well,
blah, blah,
theoretically.
blah, blah, blah,
People
blah.
who had bought the premium memberships
Which
and
was,
people who had won contests in the past.
turned out that was expensive. So we didn't do that.
Well, yeah.
And the contest winning,
the benefits just weren't enough for us.
we discussed it at length.
Other people, it is, but we don't need some of the things they were offering. So
the contest winning, we discussed entering into one of the contests to see, and we both had that kind of same response. Meh.
I mean, I'm highly competitive, but it's got to be the right kind of contest.
You've won every striptease contest you've
I've
ever
only
entered.
entered one.
You don't need to tell these people that. Every striptease contest, you've won the grand prize. Anyway.
I also theoretically won the wet t-shirt contest.
You did. You had the bikini until like a year and a half ago.
No, it wasn't a year and a half. It was a long time ago.
It's been
gone.
since we've been here.
It has not.
It doesn't matter.
It was gone.
It doesn't matter. So
You remember incorrectly.
we were back and forth about doing the contest. We were back and forth about doing the premium membership, VIP platinum membership.
We were nothing. You might have been, but I had already decided.
And about the time that we decided that we absolutely were not going to do either one of those things we get the invitation to come to the soft opening.
I'm going to assume that it's because we are industry professionals. That's going to be my assumption.
So we obviously get crazy excited.
Oh my God. I did this dance that you videotaped. I was so fucking excited.
Yeah, it's really amusing. And then she started buying dresses.
No. I was trying to buy dresses. It was not fucking working. I had a very specific idea in mind of what I wanted to wear. And it's, the wow factor. It was the wow factor. That's what I wanted. I, had the whole how to lose a guy in 10 days. What is her name?
Hudson.
Kate Hudson walking down the stairs and his reaction to seeing her in that yellow dress.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted.
I had that same reaction.
That is what I wanted.
If I had a copy of that little spot on the DVD would be burnt out a little bit from the pausing.
I'm sure. I actually looked for that dress. That was
when she
expensive.
moves just the right way, you can see just the faintest hint of the top of her ass crack.
It's not that faint. You can see her. I wanted that dress.
I've examined
a similar
I've
dress.
examined it with a microscope on a high definition TV. I can tell you for sure.
So I spent hours looking, right, for my fancy dresses because I wanted them to be like perfect. And I was not coming up with a whole lot. I mean, I found a lot of dresses, but none of them were like, oh my God, have to have this. So I bookmarked a lot of them because I'm like, maybe. And then you found one and I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking perfect.
It was.
No.
Whatever dress that woman was wearing.
That dress was perfect.
Whatever dress that woman was wearing at that particular time in her day and her diet was perfect.
Here's the problem. That dress was made specifically for her to wear for that picture. Because I ordered that dress. It wasn't that dress.
It didn't look like that dress.
It didn't look like that. I took it to a seamstress to see if we could maybe fix it. And she goes, that's not the same dress. And I'm like, thank you. I'm aware. Thank you for confirming that I am not insane.
That's what you get from ordering from Wish.
She's literally looking at it. She goes, well, it's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Why? And I'm like, because it was cheap and quick. It wasn't that quick, actually. It is lucky they postponed it. Because it took a month and a half for the goddamn dress to get here from China. Then it was so fucking wrong that I almost set it on fire instead of getting my money back.
If I recall correctly, it arrived the day of the original scheduled soft opening.
It did. It would have been there just in time, but it would have been shit. And I would not have wanted to wear it.
Yeah. And that would have been what you had.
and I would have cried.
Pissed and angry and frustrated.
But yeah, so it took the entirety of the time of them. They pushed it back, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I don't remember. By the end, I was trying not to be frustrated because I adore them and I get it. In retrospect, it probably would have been better just not to schedule anything until they knew 100% that nobody was going to fuck with them. Just saying. Because people tried to. They tried to, but they passed all their zoning inspections and all of the things, and they had to do stupid shit to do that. I remember what those inspections are like.
There was a car accident also?
I had to work with the fucking, USDA, and that's a load of shit is what that is. So I totally get it.
I think somebody drove through one of the walls.
No, I don't remember.
With probably a forklift.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
I can see that happening.
Because I remember seeing the pictures of the concrete blocks spill it out onto the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, they had a factory that they had to turn into a club.
Yeah.
So that was problem one. They had a factory. It wasn't built for this. It was built for something else entirely. So I get it. And I was excited when it finally happened and I finally found my dresses for my 2 dresses.
How many dresses did you go through? Was it 8?
So there was the first 2 that were shit. I kept one of those. Did I wear it? I actually don't know if I've still worn it.
I don't know. It was either 8 or 10.
I don't remember. So that was 3. I returned 2. I kept 1. And then I had another order, and the problem with that one was that the sizes were too big. So that was another 3. The one was not available anymore in a smaller size. And the other 2 were. So, or no, one was, and I had to find an alternative. So that's what? 2,
6 or
5.
7.
That's 5. And then the other 2 came. So it was 7 dresses total. 3 of which I kept.
I think there was another order in there.
No.
I think you ended up buying from Shein. Is that correct?
I did. I love Shein. They are my new favorite place.
Yeah.
Minus their slightly inappropriate measurements for their sizes. It's a more go with your gut.
Well, it's tiny little Asian women that they're using for
Well,
the
but
sizing.
you look at the measurements, though. The measurements should be the same. And the measurements said I should have been a large. I am not a large. I'm a medium, which I always am a medium.
Yeah.
I should have just assumed. I bought a medium in the lingerie. That worked out just fine. Everybody loved that.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good.
And my bathing suits have all been amazing, minus the one with the wire that I probably needed a large in, but I feel like the bottoms would have been too big.
Yeah.
So it's only because it doesn't loosen around the bust like at the bottom like normal ones do.
So you finally got the dress thing figured out.
I did. I was really excited.
The openings were finally set in stone.
And they were back
And they were
to back.
stacked.
So
So Friday night
Saturday.
and Saturday night. And I think luckily we already had arrangements for the littles.
No, I had to figure arrangements out. We didn't have anything.
Huh. Well,
And
it worked out.
Didn't we end up did they go somewhere?
Yeah.
Like they were gone for the weekend?
Mm-hmm. So
Oh
worked
yeah,
out.
it was a really good thing
It worked
because
out
we
perfectly.
were fucking useless on Saturday.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. So we go to this thing, and you probably can describe the club better than I can
So
because you are. Although I am impressed by it, you love it.
I do. I absolutely love it. So one of the issues that I had with Princeton is the art can be a little garish and obnoxious. Some of them are just obnoxious and some of them are very garish and it doesn't quite set the right tone for me. Like some people like that. I don't particularly. So first thing, we get there and I'm like, it's a little sketch. Like, I mean, most of these are not in the best neighborhoods, right? Because in the best neighborhoods, they're like, no sex anything, because God forbid.
Can't even use the word.
So we pull in and I'm like, that's a little sketch, but it's not as bad as, you know, some of the other places we've gone. It's okay. And you walk in and the ambiance is just, it's calming. Like the way they painted it, it's muted, but not dull. The art is beautiful and it's fun. And
He told us, I think that night, that
it wasn't him.
that his wife, Melissa, had seen some of the Short North artistry that's on the back alleys.
It was someone else. It wasn't him.
And she liked it
Yes.
so much that she commissioned this series or one, I don't even know, of graffiti artists
Yes.
to paint some commissioned works to go into the club. And it's indescribable.
They're amazing.
It literally is. If you are in a ritzy part of town and you're walking by a building and it has an alley, that's the kind of tag artwork that you're going to see someplace like that.
It's more than that, though. It's
And
not.
it is. It's
the
gallery.
color schemes and that kind of match the graffiti.
Yeah.
But it's more. It's more refined. It's more classy.
Yeah. And not garish at all.
No.
Sexy in its own right.
Or fun. Because
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry,
fun.
the boys peeing off the dumpster is not sexy, but it is absolutely fun.
It is fun.
They're not wearing any pants.
They're not wearing it. Well, they are, but they're on their
They're
ankles.
around their ankles. And we
They're
walk by and I'm like, is that you and Mr. Sex Swing?
They're standing on the dumpster peeing over the back with their pants around their ankles with their asses hanging out.
It's amazing.
It's one of my favorites. So that goes throughout the whole club.
It does. It's all over the place.
I think in every room, in every section.
The locker room is nice and roomy. Which,
Yeah. So you walk in and the door guys, the security team.
Yes, of which they have many.
Yeah, they're a good group of dudes. They're all lifestylers with the exception of the surly little Slavic fellow. And
I think he wants to be a life.
I think he does. I think he wants to be one with you.
Well,
but
he tells me I'm his favorite. So.
Everybody else is in the lifestyle, had Mrs. or Misters there. So everybody not only parties at the club, but they also work at the club.
When they're working, they're working.
Right. So they crack the door open for us, and there's a good and proper lobby.
Mm-hmm. Where you can check in.
With some artsy fartsy stuff going on, and that's where you joygasmed over
bench.
It. We have some pictures of you on the resting bench.
We do. We have a lot of pictures.
And the fuzzy mitten that's poking through the wall.
Yeah, that moves.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird.
That
is a little weird.
You got to watch for that.
It's kind of like
through it.
What's the purple monster from Sesame Street?
Purple monster? Grover? Not Grover.
Grover's the trash can guy.
No, that's no. Grover is from the Muppets.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
And so is Fozzie. Telly.
Whatever. So it's like Sully from Monsters, Inc., except he's purple, is kind of what the fur looks like. So all this is going on. They have a good and proper check-in bench. And like a club, it feels just like a high-end nightclub.
It did. It felt very ritzy.
We go to check in, and they put somebody on our arm to give us a tour and take us down that hallway that leads out of the lobby, and left turns us, and right there is the boss lady's office.
Yeah, to the right is her office.
And then a nice locker room.
It's huge. It's got 3 or 4 benches and then a few chairs around the outside. It's got its own like single person bathroom.
It had a TV the first time we were there, and I think they replaced it with a painting. A unisex bathroom attached.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
It has a dressing room.
200 lockers?
Yeah, a lot.
The dressing room is only for ladies.
It's got mirrors. Like it's like what you would see in the movies when they go into the stars, like where the girls are all getting ready for the show.
Traditional ritzy restaurants, women's restroom.
And
so if it had a restroom attached to that dressing room, it would be ideal because it has the little settee and it has mirrors and makeup lights and all the stuff.
Because let's be honest, how many of you guys are going to need to go in there and like primp yourselves?
Well, I do all the time. I have to go in there and
you can't just do that in a regular mirror.
Primp things. Did we have sex in that room?
No, we did not. We did not.
I absolutely took naughty pictures of you in that room, though.
They weren't that naughty.
You were naked?
I was naked, but I mean, that's not.
So
it's really nice.
It is. It's a very classy setup. The only thing that is like not that kind of takes away from the ambiance is they look like gym room lockers.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you can't. What are you going to do? They only make so many styles of lockers.
I could build something easily that would make it better.
And how much would that cost?
I don't know. You could put faces on them, and that would be better. It would cost a lot. But I get the gist.
Yeah.
They have locks if you wanted to put them on there, but I don't think that I've ever felt the need to lock our shit down.
No, because I'm sorry, but the person who steals from the swinger club is a real douche.
Yeah. And it's usually
we share this shit already. We're sharers. Why?
I think of the 5 or 6 times we've been there, maybe 7 at this point, we've only actually gotten a locker like half the time. And every other time we've gone in there and the place is too busy, so you just have to set your shit on the floor.
Oh, people had shit on
the roof or whatever.
Set on top, around. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember which night that was.
We had a number of friends that were joining us. So we ran into a number of people that we knew.
We did.
And
quite a few people we didn't know.
Yeah, we made the rounds quite a bit that night. And that person, whoever it was, I think it's the typical door girl that led us around. Because I flirt with her incessantly.
You do every time.
She has amazing cleavage. Amazing cleavage every time. It's the same dress, actually. She wears the same dress every time, so it works.
It's not the same dress, but okay. She just wears the same type of dress.
So if you turn right from the check-in lobby, instead of left, you don't go to locker room, you go right into the club. And right there to your right is the bar, and it's big.
It's huge.
35, 40 feet total, maybe?
I don't know. I can't.
And they put all the sports people's drug of choice up on the wall right there. So I think there's like 5 or 6 televisions. And directly in front of you is the dance floor and the club proper.
Yeah.
It's just this big, massive open space.
They've got tables as you first walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that moves into couches that kind of surround the inner perimeter. And then in the back are like some of the VIP-ish sections where you can get a couch. And then there's what do they call that? The white.
That's the VIP section.
It's the VIP section. Like that is totally VIP only.
Yeah, it's VIP only. You have to only be VIP member to get up there. And it's this raised platform with glass walls. There's 4, maybe 5 couches up there, 3 maybe tables.
And it's all like white.
Yeah.
Like they call it the white something. I don't remember what they call it.
I don't remember either.
But the thing that I enjoy is that if there's not a reserved sign on one of the tables or the couches, then it's open seating.
Yeah.
You can sit there. Whereas like at Princeton, I feel like it's frowned upon for you to sit at any of those places.
It does. They always have reserve signs on them, even when they're not.
Right. You never see anyone using it, but it says reserved.
Well, we've sat at them before when they didn't have anything and nobody said anything to us.
But we get eyeballed.
But we've been kicked out of rooms at Princeton before for having sex.
We have.
For playing with others at a swingers event.
We have not tried it in the locker room yet, but I feel like they wouldn't kick us out. So it's because it was a factory, they've had to do a lot of things to it. It has really high ceilings, which is really kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of went a little steampunkish with like, you can see like the upper workings. And then you walk around to the back. If you go like through the dance floor, like around the outside, in the back are the more public restrooms. So it's not the individual single restroom. They're still unisex. They're all stalls, except there's
standing room in the far back bathroom. I think.
But they're unisex because
it's like 3 stands, 2 sits in that one.
And they have food.
They do.
They have good food.
They have fingerlings at every event. And
now they have started to cater their own like restaurant style, so you can order on certain nights.
Sort of bar foodish on the norm,
but
Play Champagne has always been prided on the fact that they offer proper entrees at some of the bigger events.
Yes,
and so they're set up for that.
They still do that on some of the bigger events. They'll have dinners.
Yeah, apparently there's an in-house kitchen, or they have a really good catering service.
I think there's an in-house kitchen.
There very well could be. Behind that one curtain. Yeah. There absolutely could be a kitchen.
Because you can order, you can't order food if it's catered.
That's true.
And on Thursdays, for sure, there's a menu where you can order food, like pizzas and things. And then you walk around.
Right. So behind the DJ booth and to the left of the dance floor, if you're coming in from the entrance, is a long hallway. And how many playrooms do you think there are? 10?
1, 2, 3.
Well, you don't have to count them.
It's like 8.
I think it's like 10 or 12.
I don't think it's that many.
We'll count them up tomorrow, not Friday. But there's 2 public playrooms
that have a glass. Now they do have the glass.
Yeah.
It was on back order when we went.
Yeah, when we first got there.
I partly wish they wouldn't have put the glass in.
I think the first 3 times that we went, the glass still hadn't come in yet.
It is a plus and a minus. I was going to say, I wish they hadn't put the glass in, but then I'm like, wait, some of the commentary I heard the one day, I'm glad they put the glass
in. I had a mindset about the evening. And so very promptly, when we found the playrooms, I'm pretty sure we played in the first public playroom within an hour of being in the club.
We did. I was still dressed, but
Yeah. And that was fantastic.
I made sure I was on my dress so that we didn't make any mess. We just fixed the rifling.
They had a little bus boy,
Room
attendant guy in fucking scrubs that were embroidered with Play Champagne on them.
I was so classy.
Yeah, you thought he was fucking adorable too.
He was adorable. I would have ruined him.
Yeah. Another one of your 3 types.
Sorry.
So we take care of that. And that is one of my goals, is to break in as many of the rooms as possible.
I think we did 4 that night.
I think we did. And
we did like another 3 the next night.
Yeah, we're pretty close to have been in all of the rooms there.
There might only be 1 that we haven't hit, and it's just out of oversight.
Yeah. But we might be able to say really soon, hey, we already can say that we're the first people to play in both of the public rooms.
We are.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there was nobody else in either one of them.
No.
And that was first night.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of friends that were coming into town. Some of them dropped off the radar because of the pushback on the dates. And
it changed significantly.
Yeah, originally it was like almost all of our friends were going.
Yeah, they were.
And then the dates kept changing, and then more of them fell off. So that brings us to another point. Between Play Champagne and Princeton, that is all of our lifestyle friends.
It is. And really, Princeton's only the one couple.
And yeah, like when you boil it all the way down, everybody that we know and everybody that we hang out with and play with
has been met.
We have met through Play Champagne.
Yeah, in one way or another. Like we met Mr. and Mrs. Poolfriend have introduced us to numerous of our friends, but we never would have met them if we didn't go to Play Champagne.
And start talking to them.
And
maybe fuck their brains out. Fucking their brains out was probably part of it.
I mean, that
because we played like 7 fucking times at that takeover with them.
The first time. That was just the first time.
Like the first night, I think we left the room and went back to the room, I think 4 times.
It was 4.
And then we played again the next night with them and others.
No, that was that was the Mardi Gras, because there was only one night for Valentine's.
Well, whatever.
At Mardi Gras, the number went up.
Oh my God.
It was 2 or 3 on Valentine's. It was like 6 on St. Patty's.
And I think we went to their house the following week.
Yeah, and then it was like 3.
And then
we can't just have sex once when we're.
And then we went to the first house party, and then we went to their house again, and then we went to the second house party, and all of a sudden, everybody that we know from Play Champagne.
In a way. And it's funny because most of them actually had gone to their club in Indiana.
They remember the old club and liked it. So had we
gone, we probably would have met them anyway.
Right. So that's kind of where this episode kind of comes from for us, is that is the place that we became.
Yeah.
Where we met some of the closest friends that we have, and almost all of our play partners. Even if we don't necessarily consider them friends, which I don't even know that there is. I don't know that there's anybody like that.
I mean, there's like randomly interspersed.
Right.
Like the first, I don't remember what you called them, but our first experience was at Princeton. And then there was the rando from.
But again, everybody else. Everybody else that we see
everyone
repeatedly,
we enjoy spending our time
and with. Is Play Champagne folks.
They are, yeah.
So that is in part why that is our home domain. There's other reasons. Eric puts on one hell of a show.
Yes, they do. They gotta talk to him about those lights.
Well,
he's like, no, stop it. When I said something about it.
I think I brought up the volume once, and he said basically the same thing to me. He's getting busy enough to where he's hired another DJ, so
So he has a little more time.
We'll see.
He seems so much more relaxed.
He does.
I'm so happy. I really am. I'm glad that this has worked out.
So opening night went really well.
It was so much fun.
And I don't know that we were really excited about leaving, but we did eventually. It was rather sparse by the time that we ended up stepping out.
Well,
for the night.
I think with all the changes, it was a little more intense.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it was the first day, right?
Yeah, very immediately, there was a lot of people there.
And then there weren't.
And then it felt like either people had other plans or they were looking forward to the hard open.
Because that was insane.
Yeah, we got a lot of different feedback on it.
The problem that I found, we actually didn't play with anyone else at either of the events. Because the first night, it was like full and then empty real quick. Because everyone was kind of going home to rest up for the next night, which was fucking packed. And there were so many people that you couldn't even find people.
Right.
Like you couldn't get a space to talk to people without.
And it's not that we didn't see people that we knew.
Oh no, we did.
But you're right. We didn't play with anybody except for each other.
It was just, it was one of those nights.
There was that lady.
The
lost Jello shot lady that you don't think is the same one.
I don't know what we're talking about.
So we were at a takeover and we were given poor directions.
Oh.
And we ended up meeting everybody on that end of the hotel.
I'm not saying there weren't people we could have played with.
And when we broke in the second public room, we leave the door open because we just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And we both kind of enjoy being watched. And we had been at each other for not even 5 minutes. And this attractive, much older lady.
I don't think that that's the same person.
Well, it might not be. In my mind, I'm going to say that it is.
Okay. The descriptors you're using do not match my memory.
So she came in and asked if she could watch. And she did.
She didn't just watch.
She was sitting on a bench behind us. And I glance over my shoulder because I'm hearing something. And she's going to work. And was probably going to work almost the entire time that she was in there.
We were facing this way, so I could see her, but you could not.
No, I could hear her though.
I could.
There was a lot of wet sounds.
Yeah.
Which God bless her because she was a little older lady. So that kind of moisture coming out of an older lady is admirable. She did herself a fantastic job, so much so that she gave me a naked hug. Well, I was naked. She was not. And thanked us profusely.
She did.
For the show that we put on.
She thanked us for our performance.
She wasn't the only looky-loo, but the only one that came into the room. And I don't know. I think we ended up rolling out about 2. There was probably still an hour left of the club.
Well, we were very tired because the previous evening
we
were requested on our way home.
Of the soft open?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So yeah, that is when that went down.
We had a booty call.
Yeah, we did. A bona fide.
And that's what I said too when I read the text. They were like, "Did you leave yet?"
Mr. and Mrs. Pool Friend.
I think we're getting a booty call. We
thought that they were there with somebody else.
I don't remember what.
And so when we have friends that are working somebody else, we
try to let them do we try not to interrupt.
We're all attaboys for them and good show and go get it. And
like as much as I want to fuck them, I don't want to get in their way either.
They disappeared. Oh, it was that couple that we've met at a couple of
really
takeovers.
Tall one?
No.
I don't know.
It doesn't.
I won't remember.
Bowler and teacher. I don't know. He does bowling. That's one of those things.
Was that?
We've met him at 2 takeovers, I think.
Yeah.
And they confirmed just the other day that they were there to meet them.
Yeah.
So the vibe that we were getting was appropriate and accurate. When they disappeared, we just kind of guessed that they were off in a playroom.
Yeah.
And didn't see them for the rest of the evening. And it turns out
It was very full, though.
Yeah. Well, no, this is soft. This wasn't the hard. So we're on our way. We left. And we're on the opposite side of town by then. 15 or 20 minutes from the club.
We were.
And you get the text. And I don't remember.
I think I was like, turn around.
And no, you said the booty call thing, and I asked who, and you said, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Pool Friend.
You were like, are we turning around?
And I'm like, well, it sounds like we're turning around.
Yeah.
So we
did
start trying to figure out where their hotel is at because we didn't know where they were staying. And
she's terrible at directions.
Pretty sure I had a vest and my kilt on only at this point, and you were wearing my dress shirt.
I was wearing your dress shirt.
So that's how we walked into the hotel.
We had a babysitter.
We did.
Because I came home wearing your shirt. And I'm like, I can't even imagine.
We
think.
We roll into the hotel and I'm just going to walk through like I own it and go directly to the elevators and then start getting directions from somebody that knows where they're at, not Mrs. Pool Friend. Because she's terrible with directions.
So bad.
And we're walking through the lobby and we hear a cat call.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is
And I didn't pay much attention to it. I had seen somebody out of the corner of my periphery, but I didn't pay attention to them.
I paused and I was like, hey.
And there they were.
Getting pizza like we do when we're in a hotel. Because this has become, it is now a group thing that we do.
It is.
Because we all shared it.
It was literally the ladies' munch out session. And I'm sure the guys got a little bit of something too, but I wasn't hungry.
Not much.
I was.
He's like, did you eat my whole pizza? She's like, yeah.
Yeah. So we were, I was more excited about other things.
Yeah.
Because Mrs. Pool Friend gets my engines roaring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we spent the first hour shoveling our faces.
Yeah, we were all very hungry.
I
don't think we had eaten dinner.
I don't remember.
Like, I don't think we ate dinner.
I ended up munching on a little bit of stuff, but I didn't have food.
Oh, yeah. Well, I munched half the night, so I was probably fine. But
because the fixings were rather
I love
tasty.
Those snackies. That charcuterie board was awesome.
We
it
spent,
was like 3 feet high.
That was
2 feet wide. It was
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
That was where all of our socializing took place, is at the various hors d'oeuvres.
While I'm shoveling my face.
And that's where the coolers are at for all your stuff.
Yes.
That's where the soda fountain is at.
Now you can leave it behind the bar too if you need,
Yeah,
like,
and get
drinks.
bottle service if
but
you want
if you don't, then
'Cause
they
they
have
have
coolers.
They have free mixers and all the other stuff. But if you're just bringing your own whatever, and they encourage you to bring a tumbler so you can take care of that business. And we always have a traveler with us anyway. Not so much anymore, I guess.
I mean, a little bit, but.
So we hang out with them. Oh my God. It was probably 3 hours.
Yeah.
All said and done. And had an amazing time, as we always do with Mr. and Mrs. Pool Friend. And they gave us the what for. Was that? He did. He came on your stomach.
He always comes on my stomach.
I might have come with her too. Which
You
is,
did.
yeah.
You did.
Not unusual, but it's rarer than your experience. We probably played with him for 2 hours.
It was a long time. We had a lot of sex.
And when everybody was done, we mopped off what little sex we could actually wipe off, which wasn't as much as you might think.
And we didn't shower when we got home either. So we woke up and we're like, oh my God, we stink.
Yeah. We relieved the babysitter, crashed out for probably 6 or 7 hours, had the blackout curtains drawn.
It wasn't that long.
I feel like you didn't get out of bed until 10 o'clock.
No, I think that might have been Sunday. After day 2.
Yeah. And then day 2, we basically spend the whole day groping each other and finger fucking and me chasing you around most of the day with a heart on. Because we didn't have anything to do except for sexy time. And I feel like we dedicated a lot of time here to that.
Our poor kids.
And then we went to the hard open, and parking was rather easy Friday night.
Yeah, it was not on Saturday.
It was not easy in any way, shape, or form on Saturday night.
No, and we were there early.
We were.
Like, we weren't there late.
We still had to park back in the Booney parking lot.
Ridiculous. Well, that's where they started filtering everybody.
Right. And it was off the chain.
It was so fucking busy. It was like 9:30 and it was fucking packed.
There was 500 people in there. Because if I remember correctly, going through the play hallway, which is the shortcut to get through the people, you still had to weave around people hanging out back there just to get from the front of the club to the back of the club.
I don't remember. It was very busy.
The dance floor, everybody had to move if you wanted to move.
That's when I wore my, I think, to date most popular lingerie outfit.
Good possibility.
The blue one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look. I am going to look. Now you have me curious.
I don't remember what I wore the first night.
The gold dress.
Was the gold? I thought the black dress was the first night. I don't remember. It all blends together. So I remember I wore the black dress one night, the gold dress another, and then I wore the blue lingerie one night, and I actually had to change. I don't remember if that was a different time. I don't remember. I don't remember what I wore.
You're terrible at this.
I am. It all blends together. We've been there so many times already, and it just fucking opened a few months ago that it all blends together. Because I remember the night I had the little strappy guy, and I walked around in it for about 5 minutes before I was like, I can't fucking deal with this.
Oh, I forgot.
And I had to change. I'm glad I brought a spare because I had to change.
So from what it looks like, on the soft open, you wore the blue thing.
Oh, okay.
Based on the picture I'm looking at right now. So we're standing there, and we hadn't been there an hour-ish. And we're talking to folks and hanging out. And I look at you, and I go, the trend has been set already. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if the police or the fire department shows up tonight.
Oh my God, that's right.
So,
and then we were getting snacks.
Right?
And someone set off the fire alarm.
It was a faulty module of some sort. We weren't there another 15 or 20 minutes.
Because someone owned up to it when we were talking to them. They said something about how they caused it somehow.
I don't know. Eric has not said anything to contrary the vision I had in my head.
Okay, well.
So while
maybe sad they didn't hang around.
This isn't 20 minutes later.
It was.
We're going off of, hey, I know what I said was, hey, darling, there's 2 other lifestyle clubs in town.
Yeah.
And this is before the big announcement when we learned about the other thing. And I'm like, there's 2 other lifestyle clubs in town. They've been kicked out of the last 2 towns that they tried to open a club in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if the fire department shows up.
Or the police.
And I shit you not, it was 15, maybe 20 minutes later.
It might have been a little longer, but still, it doesn't matter.
The fucking fire alarm goes off.
Fire alarm starts going off. And
I don't know if...
I was giggling.
I don't know if you've ever been... You and I have experienced this.
At a swinger event when the fire alarm goes off?
Or when something happens.
And everyone just looks around like, fuck, whatever.
Right, so...
It's just like nobody did anything. Nobody moved to exits.
Nobody responded in any kind of way.
If it's for
you
real.
saw a few people going, sniffing the air for fire. And
But nobody got up.
And I don't know if we're more laid back about that kind of stuff or we're more stupid about that kind of stuff.
I think we've all experienced enough false alarms that we're like,
yeah,
we'll know if it's real. Because it happened at the hotel too. The fucking fire alarm went off and you see the doors open and people's heads are popping out in the hallway
Right.
and you're like, you smell smoke? No? Okay, we're good.
I tried to go.
And it shut the door.
I'm pretty sure I offered, or did I go and look for my keys? I did. I went and looked for my keys because I carry a set of keys to most panels. And I had that very set of keys in my bag that was in the car because it had to be in the car. And by the time I got back in the hotel to give them the key to open it and turn it off, the fire people had already been there and was doing the same thing. So I guess they were in there maybe a half an hour.
I don't
And
know.
I got pictures.
You did. You took pictures as they were leaving. And
Yeah.
I was like,
One of them
why
looked-
are you leaving?
One of them looked right at me when he was getting the picture taken, because it's important to document stuff like that.
They were all trying very hard not to stare because there were a bunch of half.
There was a
women.
lot of half and fully
And full
naked
naked.
people. Yes,
Yeah,
you might have been in lingerie at that point,
I think I was.
because if I look at the timestamp, I can figure it out.
Doesn't matter.
21/4/209. Yeah. You were already in lingerie because I took a picture. I took a picture like 10 minutes later of you in the lobby. The fireman had just walked out the door and the fire truck was
followed
still
them
in.
out.
I know. I have those pictures. So
like I saw them leaving, and I'm like, why? Because
have we ever talked about the mass check?
What?
Mass check?
What?
We were at.
We did.
Okay. So, and that might have been when we decided that sometimes you don't need to react to stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because we had this mask raid at Princeton about a year and a half ago. And again, somebody in the swinger community
Fucking reported it because no one was wearing masks.
So that was all of this stuff that was leading me to believe that the fire department or the police department was going to show up. And there they did.
It was fucking amazing.
I was vindicated. And
There were some very sexy boys, too.
I know you're
I would have totally invited them to stay.
sitting there making all kinds of eye contact
I
and
might have been
flirties.
drooling a little bit.
Uh-huh.
They were trying not to look.
Well, I'm positive at that point you were in lingerie and
I was.
they were not trying not to look. What they're trying to do is not freak you out because they were staring.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
That's probably the reason why this boy is looking at me, is because you were standing next to me while I'm taking his picture.
I mean, that's possible. But yeah.
You got naked, as you do,
Yeah.
right shortly after that, I think,
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
and spent the rest of the night naked until you put my shirt on to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the pull friend thing happened. But back to the hard opening. Jesus Christ.
It was fucking insane.
Almost.
And this is where I learned that you can pretty much be naked anywhere in there as long as you don't walk out the door.
Well, you stood in the doorway.
Not quite. I didn't make it all the way. And the only complaint was that we were blocking the walkway.
Yep.
That was it. Like, I'm naked. And I'm like, they're coming to yell at me. And they're like, you can't block the entryway. Well, fuck, I'll go further into the lobby then. That's apparently fine. And then I stood there chatting with some guy completely naked for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. We got numbers and everything from him too. We ran into a lot of return customers,
Yes.
a lot of friends.
A lot of hopeful soon-to-be friends.
Most of our friends ended up showing up for the grand opening.
No.
I don't know. There was
Most of the Indiana crew did not end up making it.
about half didn't.
There's a little more than half.
About half of the normal club attendees, I should say.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of familiar faces.
Oh, yeah. There were people who had come into our room at the takeovers when we
Yep.
left the door open. Quite a few of them, actually.
So that's
It
kind
was-
of that's kind of how we got off of hiatus. Is at grand opening, 2 or 3 people mentioned to us, "Hey, you're the ones with the podcast, right?"
Yeah, there was that. And then
That's-
the last time we were at the club on the Hot Wife night, we'd wanted to do an interview with Eric about the club. And, you know, with the opening and everything, it was just too busy.
He was just
and
so
we were
fucking busy.
And of course, the first fucking thing he says is, we're going to get to that interview. And I'm like, well, we haven't really recorded in like 6 months.
It was about 2:00 in the morning.
It was 2:00 in the morning because they were closing.
And there wasn't 20 people left in the club, maybe 30. And we're in the locker rooms. She's naked, as per usual. Still. And in strolls Eric in all of his Ericness and starts chatting us up, gives you the grope and tickle. And the conversation rapidly turned into the podcast.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm really looking forward to this interview and planning for it, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, he asked us what we were doing with it right now, I think.
No, I said, well, I guess we're going to have to get back on that because
that's
like
when,
6 months.
And that's when he was like,
he goes,
whoa. And I go, yeah, the short little hiatus turned into a longer one. He goes, oh, I've been telling everybody and I'm looking forward to it. I've been marketing you guys and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that was 3 weeks ago.
Apparently we have to do that thing.
Right? That was like 3 weeks ago. And
we're getting there. It's going to take a bit.
When he said that, that's when we decided that, well, we're going to have to kind of go home and record, aren't we? And I think we recorded the following night.
Yeah, we did do it that night.
Which is the last episode in the catalog. Was very much goaded on by Eric and his displeasure. And we met a new sexy friend.
Yeah, we did.
Like as we're finishing up the conversation with him, you got your little unicorn that we'll save that conversation for some other time. He has a nickname. I'm not sure which one we're going to go with, but I know both of them.
I guess it depends on how I'm feeling that day.
Huh.
One is more friendly and the other one's more...
We're going to surprise these people, so don't dime him out.
I would never dime someone out intentionally. We've never talked about that either. That is a thing. I was so fucking terrified. That's a different conversation.
It is a different conversation.
Jesus Christ.
The grand opening was phenomenal. I just can't.
I was so happy so many people were there.
Like, there's ways to do this right, wrong, and this way needs to be the new right way. That's how good it went.
It was so nice.
It's subtle glitches here and there, but
it was the second day they were open. There's gonna be glitches.
But the month that they took of just busting ass, showed.
It did.
It was very well, with the exception of the windows in the public rooms. It was very well polished. It was very polished.
Which wasn't necessarily a huge deal.
No, we actually took advantage of the fact that the windows were open. You got your hand held by a potential sexy friend.
Well, you were fucking me.
Yeah. She was going to give me directions.
She was going to commentate, and all she did was basically voice approval.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing really good while she's holding your hand through the open window.
Yeah.
It was sexy.
It was. It was really hot.
Yeah.
I was really kind of sad they didn't come join us.
Yeah. I don't know that we invited them.
I feel like I'm sorry, she was holding my hand. I feel like that's as much invitation. Like, seriously? You need more than
Yeah, you kind of need to say, why don't you come in here and take off your clothes? I understand that.
Getting fucked.
I understand that.
We've talked about how I can't have conversations when that's going on. People keep asking me questions like I can answer them in the middle of that shit. My brain is way, way too intense for that. It can focus on one thing and one thing only. And when that thing is fucking, I'm not thinking about the hows, the whys, the whens, the whats. None of that doesn't matter. I'm not thinking about it. So don't ask me questions.
No, don't ask questions. Just pull out your penis.
My brain can't do that.
Don't sit on your face.
Don't sit on my face. Why?
But absolutely, just take out your penis and
if you're near me and it's out and I want it, it will just end up in my mouth.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I think that's probably the reason why that didn't happen is a blatant invitation. You give her a little jerk on the hand. Hey, Why don't you two come in here?
I thought we had invited, but I don't remember.
I don't know that we did. I think we also played solo that whole night too.
We did.
And busted out.
It's not that there weren't people we weren't interested in. It's just that's how it happened.
Yep.
That's how and I was totally fine with that.
What's their names? Johnny and June?
They were there. One of the nights. I think maybe both.
Grand.
It might have been both.
It might have been. But they would have been welcome.
Yeah. But they were, flitting as normal.
Yeah.
That's what she does.
I don't know. There was easily a half dozen couples, maybe a full 10 that if we would have ran into it at the right moment, that would have.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It was either the rooms were full.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing.
It was the biggest thing.
We tried.
What, you're going to stand there with
we
your
tried
number and wait?
all night to get one of our sexy friends into a room, and the rooms were completely occupied-o.
Yeah.
And
then
when we
were trying to get a room, and somehow that still didn't happen.
I think you were flittery. You're in the flittery mode.
I don't know.
Because I went in and stood in the room, and you kept walking down the hallway. And I ran out to grab you. And by the time that I turned around, somebody had already walked into the room and taken it and put the chain up.
Well, I think that there was hesitation on the other part.
There might have been.
And that's what caused that. I don't know.
I think what we've decided is with them, if that deal is going to get closed, we are just going to have to close it.
Yeah. No, it is.
Look.
It's basically been said.
Get up off of, come here.
Yeah. It's basically been
let's
said.
do this thing. There is and we'll go into this in another episode. There is a difference between the environment that you run into at Princeton and the environment that you run into at Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the clicky bit, but it's like the difference between traditional swingers, if we want to coin a term, the down to fuck folks.
Yeah. Well, not even though.
Well, I don't know how else to describe it.
Because it's not.
There's
that.
Well, there's a difference. There's an energy difference for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody was fucking, dear.
It's strange because
the fucking went like slowly tempered. The one day we went there was nobody in the big room. Well, and then the napping guy was in there.
Yeah.
By himself taking a nap.
Under a towel. And
there were people there. Nobody was fucking in that room.
They very promptly got kicked out for it.
He wasn't supposed to be there by himself.
Right. And that is another difference is it seems that the single guy rule is substantially more enforced and considerably more selective at Play Champaign.
It is considerably more selective
than it is at Princeton.
There aren't.
I mean, I always, whenever I think about this and we talk about it, I always think about Dirty Trucker. Yeah. And Dirty Trucker Boy was literally sitting in a couples only section.
Or invite only, I guess.
Jerking himself off through his pants. And nobody ever said anything to him.
Yeah.
And if you try that kind of business at Play Champaign.
Oh, they will kick you out.
Eric will come and kick you out.
Like
he does the kicking out. He's the guy that makes that decision.
Yeah.
And I've seen it often enough that I can generalize it. I'm sure he doesn't do it with everybody, but he takes that personal responsibility. And that's another piece of, if we're going to call this a review, we might as well. At the hot wife party, we went not because we do the hot wife thing.
Not in the traditional sense, no.
But, well, you're hot and you're my wife.
Yeah.
That's how that works out.
We don't do the I go sleep with guys and you just kind of sit there and watch, or you're not even there.
Yeah, it's not even remotely cuckoldish or hot wife-ish what we do. But we went because we were available.
And
we already had a babysitter arranged.
Had friends that were going.
We had people that were going.
And I was hoping to meet a single guy.
Yeah.
Because we have completely struck out in that at every turn. Every attempt we've made has ended poorly.
With caveat, Because there was one successful.
It was not
But there's
successful.
caveats attached to that because he's not single. But
Oh.
a true male
Single
unicorn
guy.
Has not happened.
No.
And we went there partially with that hope because we have a few female unicorns that we can call upon if the need arises. You don't have a male unicorn that you can call on.
And the only experiences I've had have been random. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
minus the one.
Heat
But
of the moment, random, and
not
or
necessarily amazing.
no, they weren't necessarily amazing.
That
Not to dime out Peacock, but Peacock
was fucking. I should have said no to that.
or
Tiki
cocaine.
Barber.
Tiki Barber, I think is his name.
It
That's
is
right.
Tiki Barber. The reason
Which was a
didn't
lot of
realize that was
fun.
an actual person.
It was a
That's
lot
a
of
whole different
fun.
conversation.
A lot of fun until I pulled my dick out. And between the cocaine that he was snorting all night and my dick being out, that didn't go anywhere.
Well, and then it just got. We talked about it.
It got weird.
Um.
So you've struck out in that regard.
Yeah.
And so we go and we were there the better part of the night before we saw anybody that we thought was a single man.
Yeah. It was hard. There were a lot of couples,
Right?
and there were apparently more there than we thought.
Well, and we met a few couples where the missus was dedicated to standing off to the side and letting her man play. Like the one girl, she was like in what I would describe as her Friday at home in front of the TV best attire, like jeans and a sweatshirt.
Wait, at the hot wife thing?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
And she literally said to us, I'm not here for us. I'm here for him tonight. We met him. We have their phone number.
I
And
find that to be very strange at a hot wife event.
well, he was going to be allowed to go play with a couple or with a,
Oh.
that was the impression that she gave me with her speech. I don't remember the words. So we were hard pressed to find singles. And
I mean, there were a
decided
few that
that-
I'm like, I think that might be a single.
yeah, we decided it was really selective or there wasn't that many that showed up.
Yeah.
When Eric cornered us in the locker room to talk about how we're not recording the podcast anymore and made us fix it, he volunteered that I think he only ended up inviting 14.
Yeah, there were apparently 14 singles. I couldn't
14
tell you.
total, and he didn't invite. He hand screened everyone.
Yeah.
And
Or they.
Yeah, or they.
The group
And
handpicked the
she-
singles.
so it was hard to spot them, and because it was so few, it was hard to meet them, and it ended up
It
working
just
out
goes
for the
to
best.
show, though, that they mingle really well. The
He did
ones
a
that
really-
they choose.
He did a really good job in his selection
Because
process.
normally you can be like, oh, single guy.
Right?
Like, you can just tell.
There was one that was really obvious, right? And he was strutting around. All the rest of them,
But he wasn't obnoxiously obvious.
No.
It was just like, oh, single guy.
yeah, that short little chocolate fellow that kept walking about,
Is he
Begging-
the one that danced?
begging people to look at him. No.
Oh, it was a different one.
Yeah, this guy was a skinny, shorter chocolate fella.
I don't remember.
Good looking lad. I mean, his head probably comes to my chin. And he was obvious. And then the one that you're thinking of was obvious. And that was, I think, at that point were the only two that I had spotted.
Yeah.
And I'm usually better at that. And then we
So it
very
just goes to
promptly meet your unicorn, which is going to become your unicorn right after Eric walked into the room.
As frequently as he would like.
As frequently as he would like. And we'll talk about him more later. But
I'm not proud.
because it worked out just exactly the way it was supposed to.
It really worked out swimmingly.
So I mean that's
I don't think if I had like written down the characteristics that I like enjoy in people, I don't think I could have created someone who fit that as well as he does,
yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah, we mesh really well. I like him.
I know. Which is kind of one of the
immensely
things.
intelligent and
And respectful.
We had an amazing dinner. And we're not going to go into it any more than that because we're going to have to do the other episode right now.
No, I'm tired. I need to go to bed because we have a long day tomorrow.
You're lazy.
No, fuck you. I have a long day tomorrow.
I guess when it comes down to it, and this upcoming party that they're hosting kind of is an attest to that. They're hosting some Midwestern thing, and like New Year's, they already put out the head count for states, and I think it's 10 states.
Is that for the next Hot Wife event that they're doing?
Yeah. No.
That I kind of want to go to? Well, there's that too. The Hot Wife event. They're flying in singles from across the country.
Yeah.
I want to go.
So, I mean, that's part of it, right?
Because if the clientele from the last time is any indication of the kind of guys they're flying in, I kind of want to be there.
When we were sitting down with him at Valentine's Day, I think, at dinner, he tells me about what he was doing to plan the club. And he had either spoken with or hired 3 consultants from like club designers and club consultants from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
On input on how to design this thing and make it work. And he knows a lot of people. So that is maybe a lot easier prospect for him than it would be for somebody like me. But he put in the work. And it's not stagnant like some of the other places that we've been. It is very fresh.
It's classy.
Classy is a really good word to describe. For a dirty, dirty fucking outfit, it is a classy joint.
It is very classy.
Because the dirty stuff that goes on in that place.
It is very dirty.
But, so that's it. That's our ringing endorsement of Play Champagne and just exactly how much we love them. And how we're probably not going to go out of our way to spend a whole lot of time with a whole lot of other groups.
No, I mean, we'll check a few out.
Save the one from down south.
We'll check a few
that's
out.
Still on the list.
We're going to try some of the ones.
Yeah, we're still going to go to clubs, but I don't know that it's going to take an awful lot to top the chemistry and the relationships that we've built.
And I appreciate their creativity with their themes. That's a big thing for me. I hate phoned in shit. And they're still, right? Like you still have the common, like Playboy Bunny and all of that. But I very much appreciate that they thought outside the box with their themes. And majority of them are very, very fresh ideas.
Well, and
I'm excited because we're going this weekend for my birthday and they're having karaoke. I'm so excited.
Well, that's one of those fun things what is the saying is, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
Yeah.
And so when he comes up with a new theme, the other club that we've discussed follows within a couple of months with a clone.
Only some of them, though. They are
not all of them.
They are very
not all of them.
In.
And
they have the same theme with different names 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, Princeton is tired on the theme business, and they're not real creative.
Their descriptions are always phoned in.
So that kind of...
Although his make me giggle. The 80s one where you put references to like all the different music groups in it. I was giggling like a fucking idiot. It was amazing.
And I should say...
it made me want to go.
At the soft opening, we didn't know this before it was announced, but we had seen a couple that looked very familiar. We just couldn't figure out where they were from. And when the announcement was made about, hey, we're open and this is this and this is that, they introduced this couple.
Yeah.
And this should be a testament to how well respected this outfit is and how well they play with others. Because in Columbus, Ohio, there's 3 swingers lifestyle groups.
There's 3 swinger clubs.
Princeton, which is the staple that's been there for 25 years. Play Champagne is the newcomer. Regionally, not the newcomer, but right, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And the other one is Ohana's.
Yep.
And it's gone by, I think it was Pineapple Club 3 years ago or so.
Oh, was it?
Before we went to it, it had a different name.
Well,
but
I think that they need to stick with this one because it is appropriate.
Yeah. And they are also of the same mindset, very non-clickish. And it's kind of
very cozy.
It's kind of like Cheers, if Cheers was a swingers club.
Yeah, yes. That is very fair.
It is your neighborhood dive bar.
Yeah.
And all the people that you would expect to see at your neighborhood dive bar, if they were in the lifestyle, go to Ohana's.
Yep.
And
it's very cozy and very friendly.
Comfortable.
Yes.
And likable. And so the owners, which were our previous manager and previous bartender to Princeton, were at Play Champagne for the grand opening.
Oh, they don't know. You're thinking of they don't own it, but they work there.
Whatever.
But still, the owners of
the owners were there.
They were.
And some other staff that we recognized from our visits. Whatever.
No, we've only been there the one.
Whatever.
I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. I think we've been there twice, but it doesn't matter. So that should say something, that there is a professional respect and almost a mutual aid agreement between the two of them.
Yeah.
Ohana's was closed that night.
Yeah.
For their grand opening, which we found out after the fact. They didn't have any event or anything. They were closed.
Yep.
It said on their website. And so if you're that good that when you walk into town, another of your competitors, I'm using scary quotes, comes to your thing to give you a blessing, that should fucking say something.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of hostility towards Princeton in that same idea, in that same vein. People that have been in the lifestyle for a while, that have worked in the industry, there's hostility there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they hear it and they cancel this one, whatever. But it's not as friendly of a joint as the other two are.
Not in the least.
And
they aren't. Well, that's a different.
It's a different conversation, because I mean, that's the Princeton review if we ever decide to do one. It absolutely is a good place to go. And if you're within the hearing of my voice, just buy a ticket and fly on over.
Give it a shot. How many new people did we meet
I don't
last
know,
time?
But aren't we the Swinger Halfway House?
Yeah.
So, I mean, hit us up. Maybe we can house you. You won't have to go to the courtyard.
Beware, there will be children.
Maybe.
We can't get rid of them all the time.
But here's the other thing.
But 9 times out of 10, there's probably going to be children.
Here's the other thing. We do have a largely soundproof bedroom. So if you're hot in any kind of way and fun.
Well, that sounds really shallow.
And funny and sexy, we're probably going to fuck you anyway. So.
That's a bit presumptive.
Is it?
A little.
Swinger people.
We know lots of fun,
swinger people hanging out in our house. There's probably going to be sexy time.
Well, I guess it depends on what else is going on.
Maybe not during family dinner.
We had a lot of hot, sexy swinger friends here, except it was a child's birthday party, and that would have been inappropriate.
Yeah, well, probably. That's funny how that was like 50-50 swinger vanilla.
It was. It was.
With your mother.
Who loved all of our friends and wants to have a party with her invited.
Have we ever told that story? We're going to tell that story soon.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, that's it.
I don't know. We might have.
Come see us at Play Champagne.
Yeah.
We go there probably more than we should.
It's not as much as we used to go to the club almost every weekend. So it has died down. We don't go that often anymore.
No.
We took a bit of a hiatus.
We're stupid busy.
Well, yeah, there's that. But we're absolutely doing New Year's.
Which is not going to be at the club.
The
club is going to be open, but they're going to be...
Oh, they are open? I thought she said they were closing the club down that weekend.
It's another takeover. They have another takeover planned for next year already, and the club will be open.
Yes,
at the
she
same
was
time.
Talking about doing that parallel.
The cleavage girl. There's going to be a parallel party at the club and at the
Hotel.
It is an Embassy Suites.
Yes. In
Blue Ash, right outside of Cincinnati. And I mean, the hotel, I think, has 300 rooms, maybe 400.
And aside
At
from the
New
first
Year's-
or second one, it has been sold out every time.
At New Year's last year, they sold out that Embassy Suites.
And the Overflow Hotel.
And
And
had to elect a third overflow.
A third hotel as
Yeah.
the second Overflow.
I think just by dumb luck and constant follow-up, we managed to get a room in the Embassy.
You did.
We did, right? When friends of ours that might have been showing up weren't able to get a room there. But that's New Year's. It will be, if we compare it to last January,
Better because
there
last
was
January.
1,300 people there. And they're talking about it being bigger. And I just remember the courtyard. The courtyard inside
fucking
of the
full.
embassy was completely full of fucking swingers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not fucking swingers, but swingers.
Yeah.
And they might have fucked later. Security guard.
I already thought of that.
Yeah.
We're taking cards with us this time.
I'm just going to ask him for her phone number.
Or you could give me a card and I could give it to her.
Well, then we have to wait till
She likes me.
then we have to wait till January. But if I ask Eric for her number,
I thought you
we
did
could maybe
already.
do that sooner.
But she's not going to remember us.
I will make sure that she does.
But do you remember the naked girl that you hugged? I mean, I guess in retrospect, from other people's opinions of her, she might not have done that very much.
Well, maybe.
So maybe she would remember the naked girl that she hugged because there might have only been one.
So I guess sorry that this isn't more gut busting like our usual commentary is, but we've been wanting to do the Play Champagne review for months,
And I'm tired.
maybe a year. And well, there it is.
I'm a little bit of a wet mop tonight.
You are. At least we showered right before we have to go to bed and get up and get dirty again.
I need
It's
to
sweaty
shower,
and gross.
though. That's the coughing. It's the fucking dust.
Do you have anything else to add or subtract, or
I love you. Good night.
is that
I'm done. Tapping
isn't
out.
it?
It's me tapping out.
I do the love you good night first and then you follow it?
I'm sorry. Did we talk for a few minutes just
No.
so you can do it first?
No, I love you good night.
I love you.
And stop.